Dr. Celeste Nordier and Professor Jimmy Volmink are joining me in studio. Now, they recently did a study that compared low-carb diets to balanced diets, and they're going to unpack that for us today. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, like I said, you recently did a study, and it revealed that losing weight can be done irrespective of whether it has high carbs, low carbs, balanced diets. Can you unpack that for us?
So we'd like to start by really just talking about the kind of study that we did.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important to understand. We were essentially doing a review of the evidence from the scientific literature.
Mm-hmm.
And what we know from a few decades of research is that reviews of the literature are prone to bias. So what has been very well documented is that very often people who review the literature don't use formal systematic methods to look for the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so they miss out on important evidence. They're not aware of the evidence. So that's one problem. Another problem is that sometimes they know about the evidence, but they choose to ignore some evidence. And that's sometimes called cherry picking of the evidence. So you select the studies that support your prior view on the matter. And then there are other problems with reviews, such as people not paying sufficient attention to the quality of the studies, because not all research is made equal. There are different types of research with different levels of quality, so you have to look at that. And then finally, the other problem is that many studies are small. And small studies are prone to the play of chance. So sometimes these small studies give you the wrong answer. Either that there's no evidence, no effect, or that there is an effect, but it's wrong because it's just a play of chance. So those are the challenges that one has when you're doing a review. And so since about the early 1980s in healthcare, there's been an enormous effort to see how that review process can be made to be more rigorous. Mm-hmm. To address those biases. And that process has led to the formulation of a new method, which is called the systematic review. And that is what we did in this study. And briefly, what a systematic review is, it starts with identifying a question, a specific question that you'd like to answer, and then specifying beforehand the methods that you will use to address that question. Mm-hmm. So the methods would include what kinds of studies you think are eligible to be included, right, how and where you will look for those studies, how you're going to assess the quality of those studies, and how you're going to put all these results together and synthesize the evidence, taking into account the size of the studies and the quality of the studies and so forth. So that whole process is called a systematic review. We put together a team of people, half of which were experts in dietetics and nutrition, and the other half were really experts on the methods of a systematic review. And we worked for about 2 years putting together the evidence in a formal systematic review using state-of-the-art methods developed, for example, by a group called the Cochrane Collaboration, which is internationally active and is recognized as the group that produces the best systematic reviews. And so we followed those methods very rigorously. Once we completed the report, we then decided to submit it to an international journal. We chose a journal based on two considerations. One is that it must be a scientifically credible journal. Mm-hmm. And two, it must be an open access journal so that everybody in the world could access it without charge. And so we chose the Public Library of Science stable, and we selected the journal PLOS ONE within that stable. They received our report, submitted it to full peer review by international experts. Those experts gave us feedback, and we addressed all their comments, and then finally the paper was accepted for publication, and it was published a few weeks ago. So that was the process.
So it's actually a long process.
It's a long process. It's not just a fly-by-night sort of effort.
Yeah, you didn't just put some research together, something from this person.
Yeah. So I think it's really important that we understand how we got to producing that paper.